10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Alright, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone. So today I'm going to bring a short live about TED Talk, how to be a good TED Talker. So I think this topic is really good to the student, especially during your presentation. So before that, I want to all the participants to invite all of your friends to join us. I'm going to wait about 1 or 2 minutes before we totally start this TED Talk. Alright, before we start about this TED Talk, about this topic, so let me brief a little bit about TED Talk. So TED Talk is stand for Technology, Entertainment and Design. TED Talk the influential video from expert speaker created from a presentation at the main TED conference. TED is a clearinghouse of free knowledge from the world's most inspired thinker and a community of curious souls to engage with ideas and each other, both online and at TED or TEDx event around the world. The first TED conference was in 1984. The conference has been held annually since 1990. Over the years, presenters of TED Talk have included Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Bono, Jane Goodell, Malcolm Gladwell, and Larry Page. So basically, TED Talk is a short presentation or spreading idea, usually in the form of short powerful talks within 18 or less than 80 minutes. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Iffah. I'm the Secretary of Student Representative Council, and together with me is our first panel is Dr. Muhammad Firdaus bin Abdul Karim, the Senior Lecturer of Fakulti of Earth and Science. And alright, hi Doctor, how are you, Doctor?
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Yeah, I'm feeling great, of course.
Rasa nervous sikit tak, Doctor?
Boleh lah, sikit-sikit. You know, it's been a while. And how are you, Iffah?
Alhamdulillah, okay. Cuma macam nervous sikit lah. Rasa macam dah lama kita tak communicate ni. Okay. Dr. Muhammad Firdaus is the Senior Lecturer for Fakulti of Earth and Science. So, Doktor boleh terangkan sedikit lah pasal Doktor. Doktor ke macam mana?
Oh, okay. Alright. Okay. So, my name, as you guys know, I'm Muhammad Firdaus bin Abdul Karim. You know, I'm known as Ferd. So, Ferd is my nickname. Well, if you want to ask about, okay, me, I'm actually from Penang. Okay. I am an alumni of University Malaysia Kelantan. My experience when it comes to speech and also talking, actually it's been a while sebenarnya. Like, you know, I've been involved with, like, I've reconnect with speaking, debating, public speaking. But I spent a good amount of years telling stories. Okay, I was a storyteller since my primary years all the way to the secondary years, and also during my matriculations. And yeah, so that's more or less just it. Yeah. Do you have anything else to ask me, Iffah?
Okay, masa ni tak ada lagi. Nanti kita akan pergi lebih mendalam lah Untuk isu dan tajuk ni, maybe kita boleh kenal-kenal di samping kita tanya soalan tu, boleh sharekanlah sikit sebanyak sebentar lagi. Jadi bersama saya juga adalah panel yang kedua, iaitu Encik Nik Aliff Hakimi bin Muhamad Fadzil, the language lecturer from Center for Language Study and Generic Development. So, Cik Aliff.
I'm here, but currently, okay, good. Hi, Ferd. Hi, Iffah. How are you? Thank you so much for inviting me to this particular talk. And my name is Aliff Hakimi, and students here call me Sir Aliff, and I've been teaching in UMK for almost 5-6 years now. And maybe the reason why I was invited to this talk is because I am one of the few lecturers and language teachers who are teaching using TED Talk. And luckily, the course that I'm teaching, that I coordinate, is called English Intensive Communication Skills, and it really based on TED Talks. And in fact, the textbook that we are using has TED Talks in them. So I hope that we will get a fruitful discussion from this talk. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously, I am actually looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm sure I can learn a lot from you.
InsyaAllah, insyaAllah. Okay, jadi baiklah, sebelum kita mulakan sesi kita pada hari ini, jadi saya sebenarnya nak bertanyakan soalan lah pada Sir Aliff sebenarnya. Seperti yang kita tahu, Cik Aliff adalah lecturer bahasa Inggeris dari Pusat Bahasa dan Perwakilan Islamiyah. Jadi ada yang mengatakan Cik Aliff menggunakan kaedah TED Talk untuk dalam sesi pembelajaran. Jadi apakah keberkesanannya menggunakan kaedah TED Talk ni dalam pembelajaran dan pengajaran? Boleh tak Cik Aliff kongsikan lebih lanjut?
Sure, boleh. Thank you, Iffah, for the question. Okay, when we talk about TED Talk, we do know that it is a public speaking-like kind of presentation, and usually people who are doing TED Talk will talk about their personal experience or what they are specialized in. So when I use TED Talk in my class, it shows that the video that the students are looking at are good speakers with great presentations. And first of all, I would like everyone to know that I'm teaching intensive communication skills, and I'm sure that some of you have taken this course before. And mainly the course is talking about listening skill and speaking skill. And in this course, we are learning in 8 units, and altogether, each of the unit has its own TED Talk videos. And in fact, for this particular course, one of the assessment is students need to be able to talk, to video record themselves talking in English, just like their own TED Talk, using their own topic and their own experience, and telling the whole class about that particular experience. And towards the end of the semester, they have to come up with their own TED Talk, 10 to 15 minutes worth of TED Talk. And when I use TED Talk in class, it really shows the students on how to be a better speaker when they give public speaking. Okay. The reason why I choose TED Talk or I embedded TED Talk in the lessons is because every week students will watch one TED Talk. And based on the TED Talk, the students will get many information as well as how to talk. Because in my personal opinion, in my personal views, I think that the level of your English does not really apply to the level of how well you can talk. You can be good in English, in written form in English, and you can be a very bad speaker. When I say bad speaker, doesn't mean that you don't know how to speak. It's just like you don't know how to speak. You do know how to speak, but you don't know how to speak. Okay. What I meant by that is that TED Talk gives the students the reality on how to be a good speaker. Let me take an example. For example, pause effectively. Some students think that if they speak fast, if they speak continuously without any problem, without any hiccups, they are a good speaker. But TED Talk teach the students that one of the skill to talk in front of people is to be able to pause effectively. Just like what I'm doing right now. When I'm talking, I literally pause for a second, half a second, to let the audience know what I'm talking about, as well as to give me time to think of my next points. And when I pause, I give the audience as well as I am the speaker time to digest what I'm talking about. So one of the skill that most students forget when they talk is to pause effectively. When to pause, how to pause, and so on is taught in this course, and it is applied in the TED Talk that the students are watching. So the students do not only know how and what is the skill is, but they can see how the speaker applied that particular skill in a speech in this particular TED Talk. And the second example would be how to use stories examples. We do use story examples in our speech. When you talk about something, of course, you will include stories about it. For example, if you talk about your night before, you will include stories like you went to the cinemas and you watch this particular movie, you talk about that particular movie. That is actually you including a story example in your speech. But when we have this particular course, it shows you, it gives you, it tells you on how you should use this particular skill, which is story examples, and how to use it effectively in your speech. For example, you need to prepare the audience before jumping to the story. I have a story to tell. That is a signal for you to tell your audience that you are going into a story, and then you tell the story, and then after that you come back to the reason why you tell the story. So that is one of the examples. And the third one would be the body language. We all know about body language, hand gestures, what we need to do, and so on. We do know about this. But how actually doing it in a speech while giving a speech? So when I use TED Talk in the class, as well as I gave links to the students to the videos of TED Talk, they do not only know that they have to use eye contact, they have to look at everyone in the class or in the audience when they give a speech. They do not only know that they have to use hand gestures in their speech, but they also be able to look at a speaker giving a speech and effectively applying these skills, which is to use eye contact and gestures. So I would like to conclude that whenever I use, and the reason why I use TED Talks in my class is because it helps the students in knowing how to be a good speaker and how good speakers looks like when giving speeches. All right, thank you, Iffah.
Thank you, sir. So what can I conclude is a good speaker actually have to take all these 3 points, which are use, pause or stop, do not talk continuously, and include some story in your speech, and use the right body language to deliver your message, right?
Yes,
So
I will agree to that.
So it's a good point. I think all the student needs to be highlight about use a good story to deliver the speech lah, sir. I think.
Yes.
So
Yes.
back to Dr. Fair.
Hello.
Okay, I would like to ask about Dr. Fair opinion. How does society accept this TED Talk, especially student? Their I want to know about their first, when we talk about TED Talk, what is their first thought about the TED Talk actually? So what is your opinion, Doctor?
All right, okay. So I think it was earlier this year when Section Aktiviti dan Pembangunan Pelajar Pejabat Haiwan Pelajar UMK, I think they have organised I think 3 rounds. Right? So we have 3 rounds of TED Talk conducted in UMK campus Delhi. And the first round, I think it was quite tough. It's quite difficult to actually get students to take part in it, to actually participate, because bila dia dengar saja like, okay, it's a TED Talk, you know, it's got to be like a full English, it's actually very serious, it's public speaking, you know, and that's a fear, right? A fear of not wanting to do it because you open yourself, all right, to so much vulnerability, all right? So you're in a room, there's so many people who's gonna like look at you, all right, and then you might be thinking that, all right, they are judging you, or they are waiting for you to actually make a mistake, yeah. And most of the reasons that I get are usually like, oh yeah, so we have kursi apa, assignment banyak, we don't have time, we have you know, we need to involve with this, we need to take part in a few other programs, and then like right after so the slot ends, bila kita keluar, kita nak pergi makan, kita tengok actually ada ramai je kan yang dekat luar. So it's just the perception and the fear because they have not tried it out yet. Alright, and that has always been the case. But during the second round and the third round, we received more and more people who got involved, who took part. Alright, and we have chosen 3 winners, and I have to give credits here to Dr. Mary Ann Christy Leong and also Sir Ashraf, who were in the team to help out. The perception is that, all right, but that has been changing over the years. If you look at the official website of TED Talk, yeah, in the past, all right, so there have been 209 schools, institutions, and also universities who have adopted you know, who have adopted the TED Talk approach, right? And they have another 16 more events, all right, that is actually upcoming. So when I was working in the team with MPPs during UMK's version of the TED Talk, I was actually quite surprised, all right, because UMK allow them to speak, all right. You can choose whether you want to speak in English or you want to speak in Malay, and I think that's how things has actually evolved, all right. Because if you want to go to the international scene, all right, if you want to reach more audience, you speak the language that most people would use, all right, and that's English language. But like if you want to like reach out, all right, to your people here in Malaysia, and you want more and more people to be involved, then why not, you know, do a TED Talk in the Malay language? And if you want to reach out to Kelantanis as well, why not give a TED Talk in Logat Kelantan, all right? And why not give a TED Talk in Logat Utara if you're from Penang, or I mean, not just Penang, if you're from the north, all right? Yeah, so in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is that yes, in the past, it's not really well known. So my first experience, so my first video of TED Talk that I watched was by Amal Kasir, all right, on My High Woman, and she gave a talk about the Muslim on the airplane, all right. And I played that video when I was doing my PhD in the second year. All right, and I saw that post from a friend on Facebook who's Malaysian, and that is the start of everything, actually. And she spoke about one strong message, and that is about the elephant in the room. All right, like her being on the airplane, being a Muslim woman, is like an elephant in the room. So that was very captivating to me. And then now, like after the following years, I've seen like a few other institutions and universities around Malaysia has adopted it, right? We've seen Monash University, yeah, USM, UTP, and I'm actually quite happy that UMK has adopted this model, and I wish that you guys who are actually listening to this talk would participate in the future rounds of TED Talk UMK. Yeah, so that's basically it. And back to you, Iffah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Fair. So actually, UMK is the first university that held that talk event lah actually Doktor sebenarnya, and benda ni pun dah di-acknowledge oleh kementerian sebenarnya. So ia menjadikan satu kebanggaan lah untuk student-student UMK sebenarnya lah. Alright, terima kasih Doktor atas jawapan yang cukup menarik tadi. Jadi balik kepada Sir Aliff.
Ya saya.
So I'm really excited to ask this question, sir, actually.
Yeah.
So for this question, I want to ask about how to choose the good topic for the TED Talk conference or any sharing event.
Okay, thank you, Iffah. When we talk about choosing topics and choosing what you want to talk about, my course, the one that I'm teaching, which is intensive communication skills, just like what I told you before, that one of the assessment is for the students to video record themselves talking about something, just like their own TED Talk, but in video form, and send it to me for the assessment. And the assessment is actually 40% out of their 100%. For the marks, it's 40%, not 40 marks. So whenever we discuss on how you should choose your topic, what you want to focus on, what you want to talk about, is I would tell the people, the students, choose something that you like, choose something that you enjoy, choose something that is close to you, that relates to you. And when you find that particular thing that you want to talk about, go deep into it. Don't go wide. Okay, what I meant by that is, let's say that you want to talk about stress. You want to talk about stress because that is what you are having right now. That is what you want to talk about. That is what you want to focus on because it's in your life, stress. Don't go wide. What I mean wide is, don't go into talking about 5 ways to handle stress and the reasons why we are stressed and how to overcome stress and so on. No, I don't want to hear that. Those information can be found on the internet. I do not want that. I want your personal experience, your personal views, your personal thoughts on that particular topic. So let's say that you want to talk about stress. I would like you to talk about something that close to you, something that happened to you. So when we talk about something that we know, that we encounter, that we experience, it will be meaningful. It will be strong when you deliver it to the audience. It's not like you read something on the internet and you're trying to deliver what you have read. It will be different comparing that to when you deliver something that actually happened to you. Okay, I'm going to use this as my next story example, which is I'm going to tell you a story which really happened to me, and I would like to give you the example on how to use the experience that you have as a story in your speech. And right now I'm giving you a speech and I'm talking about a story that has happened to me. And this happened to me, a student of mine. I can't name him, or I can't tell that either he is from which university, but this is what he sent me, the video, the TED Talk. he talks about stress, and he didn't go into how we handle stress, 5 reasons on not to be stressed, 5 ways to handle stress. No, he focused on a story about his friend who killed himself because of stress. That is what happened to me when I asked the student to do a short presentation in front of the class as part of the TED Talk exercise. And I asked 2 students to come up front to talk about what make you stress, or talk about something that relates to stress. He came in front of the class and talked about in detail how his friend killed himself. I don't think that I should recreate the speech here, but that is what we hear. And this is in front of a classroom full of students, 25 of them. And it happened, and we were shocked by the speech. And we were brought up by him with the story that he used about his friend who killed himself because of stress. And we know at that moment, the students and I in the classroom who hear the story know that stress is not something that we take lightly. And we, at that moment, we know that stress can kill someone if we are not dealing stress carefully. But the students do not talk about ways to handle stress, the importance of stress and whatsoever, but he used story examples in his speech, telling students, telling me, telling other students that stress is really dangerous if we do not look at it positively, or we do not handle it positively. And in fact, it can lead to suicide. Okay, thank you, Iffah. Back to you.
All right, thank you, sir. So what can I conclude from this question is, find that something that you are interested or expert
Yes.
in, right? And focus more about telling story, because when we talk about our experience, it shows that we go deeper into that topic.
Yes,
right?
and I would like to add a bit, and I would like to tell all of you that when you would like to choose a topic for your TED Talk, talk about something that you experience, that happened to you, that relates to you, that is close to you. And then when you give the talk, it is something that you know. It will be strong rather than talking about something that you found on the internet.
All right, Doctor. I think that's really a good point and sharing lah, sir. So back
Yes,
to
thank you.
Doctor. Doctor, are you okay, Doctor?
Yeah,
Are we
no,
still?
yeah, I was actually quite shocked to hear that
About
yeah.
Alright,
Yeah,
so I'm
because
actually.
you know, because when we talk about mental health, it's actually it's a serious issue, and then like be in you know, like the world that we are in right now, at times we have individuals, or we have people who has been trying to look for a platform to share, all right, and it turns out it can also be in a classroom with a group of friends, and that is via TED Talk. So so that came a little bit unexpected, but yeah, it's a brave call from the one who shared. Anyway, yes, yeah, and your question, sorry, got carried away.
Alright, it's okay. Alright. So my question is, what is the element and technique that the speaker could use to get fully attention from the audience during the conference or during the TED Talk?
Okay,
Because
all right.
sometimes we feel that the topic really interesting for us, but for the some audience, it doesn't really catch their heart lah to listen actually.
Okay, all
So
right. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, that's a very good question. All right. Okay, so the first thing that I would say is the key is simplicity. All right. So the key is to keep it very simple and to have a clear message. All right. Because if you keep it complex, your audience might not be able to keep up with you. All right. If they don't understand, this subject area, kalau dia tak faham bidang tu, and you use so many technical terms, and then they're just gonna get like kind of frustrated because they wanna like, just imagine if you're in a talk, so people want to hear you talking, but the reason why people stop talking is when they become frustrated or they lose the focus. I was in a training workshop once, and the speaker taught me about like how the mind of people work in a room. All right, so, and the graph goes like this. All right, first you start with a very high focus level. All right, focusing, and then it goes down like, okay, not really focusing. I'm thinking about what am I gonna have for breakfast. All right, oh, kerja ni tak set lagi, kerja tu tak set lagi, and then you say something and then the focus goes back up. All right, and so the curve is like that throughout the time. So, the most effective way is when you can actually engage them, all right, and you catch them at the right time. So here's a list of things that I actually have to Google this up and explain it in my context by Jeremy Donovan. All right, so the first one that he said was to have a clear idea, all right, to have a clear idea of your central idea, and he proposed a laser focus concept. All right, so use the example like the first video that I watched on YouTube, and it's regarding elephant in the room. All right, that is a catchy phrase. To be honest, before I watched that video, I had no idea what it meant. All right, but it was really simple. It's just to tell and to share about her experience. All right, being a Muslim woman in a Western world, right? But throughout, okay, cara dia cerita tu, dia punya penceritaan tu, like how she arranged her material. She was on the plane, all right, and then she took you into the plane, all right, and then she let you experience things, all right. She described what happens around, how was people actually responding, how was people's expressions, all right. And this take me to my second point from and I have to give credit to Dr. Mary Ann Christie Leong because she shared this with me, and then she said, a tech talk is supposed to take you on a journey, all right? All right, so you have a clear idea at the end about the elephant of the room, and then you take your audience with you throughout, all right? And so that they can understand in the end what you meant by elephant in the room, yeah? So, another one is to have a catchphrase, all right? A catchphrase is what's going to engage the audience in. If you look at kita in Malaysia, I think there was some point back, in a few years. So we have catchphrases like, hashtag love yourself. Like now, from the under UMK, we have hashtag we are one UMK, hashtag kita bina legasi UMK bersama, hashtag discover FSB. Like it can also be in the form of a catchphrase, all right, because it's unique. It is actually quite interesting. And then if you listen to the radio now, there is one more catchphrase that people use. Biar tak handsome tapi kaya. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Alright. So, tak handsome tak apa tapi kaya. Alright. Yeah. So these are the catchphrases that people include when they give a speech to attract the audience to actually like listen to you and also engage. Avoid intro buzzkill. One of the example of an intro buzzkill is when you start reading. All right, and I remember this back in 2018 when I was in a public speaking competition, all right, and it was the grand finals, and I got the second place. I was a little bit pissed off because I had lots of trainings with my lecturer, and my training involves like me having to pronounce each word, all right, and they were sitting around me, and basically they check how I pronounce every single word just to make sure that, you know, I pronounce it right and clear, all right, and they cross-check with a few dictionaries. And then during the finals, I lost and I got the second place, all right. And what the judge told me at that time, so she was a judge in World Storytelling Competition. You know, she looked really senior. She looked very, very professional. And what she said was, yeah, so you appear to be less natural than the winner. We chose him because, yeah, he's a lot more relaxed when he was giving a speech. And then I realized that immediately, maybe I was, you know, like overtraining at some point, because my speech looks very rehearsed, you know, and it's not relaxed. It sounds like, yeah. And she told me a good point. When I was talking, at times she could read my eyes, you know, and she said that at times my eyes would wander around. It's like I'm trying to remember my lines, okay? And I noticed that in my when I assigned my students to do video presentations, to be honest, for this semester kan, sebab PKP kan, like I think secara umumnya like everyone did really well. They can talk, you know, they are really fluent and it's very organized. And then I start looking at their eyes, all right, like how I'm looking right now on the screen. You can see that the eyes is not actually looking at you, all right. It is actually looking at a script, a written script, and they just have to like read. You know, all they have to do is just to read out what they have written. And it's a bit hard for me to evaluate the video, because it appears like, you know, you're not connecting with me, right? You're not engaging with me. You are not presenting it to me. In fact, you are just reading it to me. And this is not a bedtime story, kan? So that is one of the aspects. So I would say, like, instead of like rehearsing, I mean, you need to rehearse, but don't over rehearse. But instead of memorizing what you've got to say, maybe you just have to remember the key things. What I always do before a talk or a class is to actually visualize what I've got to say. So my way of training is that before I go to bed, all right, I'll think about what I want to talk about on the next day. And then throughout the night, I'll just dream about it. And it'll be a lot more helpful on the day of the event. The next point would be is open strong to hook your audience. I'm actually reading the points over here. And this point is about a personal, when you open up your talk, all right? You want your talk and your speech to be relatable with your audience. And the best way to engage your audience is through your personal stories, more or less like what I'm doing right now. Because I know my personal story, all right? And when I tell my personal story, it comes straight from my heart, all right? And I hope you guys find it relatable, all right? And it's easier to understand. So it keeps people engaged, like, in your talk, all right? Yeah, and I have one last thing to share. If you talk about the elements in a TED Talk, like the most important element to me is the quality is actually in the moment, and the quantity comes with your time, all right? It's from me, but I wrote it down. So what I meant by quality in the moment, because if let's say you prepare for your speech, right? So you read 100 articles, you read 100 magazines, you know, you can't really do that in 2 days or 1 hour, right? So you take one or two, you sit down, you have a look at it, read through, okay, faham apa yang dia ni, cuba relatekan dengan apa yang you dah pernah experience dalam you punya life on that topic, on that issue. Our last TED talk at UMK Jeli, I think there was one speaker, I can't remember his name, but he was in the rugby team. Okay, and I like his speech because why? Because I think he embody what he loves, right? He talks about playing rugby, all right, and it helps because he appears already like a rugby player, how he stands, how he speaks, all right, and he speaks from his personal experience, right? So that's the element of quality over there, and quantity, it will come with time. It's got to be ongoing, alright? You can't just stop. If let's say you have a, contoh lah kan, masa minggu ni ada assignment yang you kena buat video, alright? It's only for the video assignment yang you buat, tapi you tak practice kan in your everyday life, your skills will deteriorate, alright? Eventually you have to restart and also reboot again. So just like me, it's been a while since I've done this, alright? And this is a good opportunity for me to start again and reconnect, you know, with all the old experiences. Yeah. I hope that helps. And back to you, Nur Iffah. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fer. So what can I conclude for that question is, find the simplicity of the speech, be more relaxed, remember the key things of the speech, and quality will come over the time of the moment of the speech.
Quality is in the
right?
moment, okay, but quantity comes with time.
Oh, quantity comes with time. Sorry. Okay. Actually, macam doktor sendiri daripada kampus Jeli, right? So seperti yang saya tahu, sebenarnya TED Talk banyak diadakan di kampus Jeli lah sebenarnya, sebab pengarah TED Talk, program TED Talk sendiri pun sebenarnya daripada kampus Jeli. So benda ni adalah saya rasa satu benda yang sangat bagus lah untuk menyampaikan pengucapan awam ni dengan adanya teknik dan elemen-elemen yang telah diberitahu oleh doktor tadi. So back to Sir Aliff. Soalan yang ketiga saya rasa untuk Sir Aliff.
Yes.
Alright. So okay sir, boleh lagi sir?
Okay, boleh.
Okay, untuk soalan seterusnya. Soalan ni agak sering ditanya lah sebenarnya, tapi kadang-kadang kita, walaupun kita tanya soalan ni banyak kali, tapi kita still macam tak dapat lagi jawapan yang kita sendiri nak lah. So soalan seterusnya, adakah kita perlu memahami lebih mendalam berkaitan dengan tajuk yang ingin disampaikan? Kadang kita rasa, kita dah ada banyak sangat experience untuk tajuk tu, tapi once kita deliver kepada audience, benda tu still juga tak sampai. So macam mana tu sir?
Okay, thank you Iffah for the questions. A really good one by the way. Okay, adakah speaker perlu memahami dengan lebih mendalam berkaitan dengan tajuk yang hendak disampaikan? Okay, in my personal opinions, yes. You need to know what you're talking about. Either you are specialized in that particular area or field, or you have experienced it yourself. Okay, when we talk about TED Talk, when you want to give, basically, in any of the speech, if you want to give a speech, you have to know what you want to talk about. That's normal, and you have to rehearse of what you want to say. But when it comes to TED Talk, when you want to deliver a TED Talk, you need to know what you want to talk about. And it can be in two ways. First, you rehearse and you Google it, you research it. And second would be if you really experience it in that particular field or area. And the third one would be if you are the specialized person in that particular field or area. Okay, I would like to take the second example as the second point as my example, where if you want to deliver a good TED Talk or any speech, you have to be able to experience the the topic that you want to talk about. For example, I would like to talk about TED Talk by Phil Handsome, and the TED Talk called Embrace the Shake, and it comes from the textbook, and the unit it's from is Beyond Limits. The unit talk about you overcoming your limit and be better at it. And this TED Talk is about an artist, not the one that sings and not the one that acts, the artist that drawing. He is an artist and he draws a lot. That is the main source of income that he had. Okay, why I use had is because after he has graduated from the university in the degree of art, he got a shake. His hands shakes uncontrollably all the time without fails. So how he as an artist is going to go beyond this particular limit? Okay, so the TED Talk talks about he used dots with the shakes. He just let go of his hands moving, creating dots, and the dots becoming a portrait of a woman. Okay, so this shows that he talks about going beyond limits, and the title of the TED Talk is Embrace the Shake. So he embraced the shake. He accepts the shake. And before he accepted the shake, he used to hold the pen strongly because he would like to make it sturdy because he wants to draw. But he embraced the shake, he accepted the shake, the shakes, the hands shaking, and just let go of the shakes. He just hold the pen firmly and he just put it on the canvas. And the dots that the pen makes because of the shakes turns out to be a portrait of a beautiful woman. So in this story, I would like to tell you it is a good TED Talk speech by Phil Handsome because he actually talking about what he experienced, and the experience is matched with the title of the TED Talk, which is Beyond Limits. And he talks about how he himself experienced the limit and how he himself went beyond the limit. So the question is, should you be able to understand fully of what you want to talk about when you are giving a TED Talk? Yes. In my personal opinions, you need to be able to experience it, or you are a specialized person in it. I would not suggest you talking about something that you really don't know or you are not specialized in, because if you're trying to deliver something that you really don't understand, it will sound weird to the audience. And remember, when you talk, when you're giving a speech, the main reason why you talk is because you would like to deliver information from the sender as a speaker to the receiver as the audience. So your main purpose of giving a talk is to deliver information. If you can't deliver the information well because you are not a specialized person in that particular area, or it doesn't happen to you personally, you do not experience it well, it will be a difficult task for you to deliver the TED Talk. Thank you, Iffah.
Alright, thank you, sir. So actually, kita niat tu kena adalah penting lah dengan niat tu kan, sebab niat kita nak buat speech ni adalah untuk sampaikan information, betul?
Yes, betul.
And then, pada pandangan saya, if anything happen during that speech, kita just follow the flow je supaya kita tak nampak orang kata kalut apa semua lah.
Yes.
Supaya audience rasa.
Yes, just like what Dr. Ferd told us just now, that we do not really have to rehearse every single word when we are giving a speech. It's just enough for us to remember the key points. If you remember each word and suddenly you don't remember the next sentence or the next word, you're in trouble. Itulah bila jadi mental block tu. Tu time tu tak boleh nak fikir lah. and it really stresses you out because of that. But if you do remember the key points of what you're trying to say, you can just always move to the next key point.
Alright, okay, untuk saya ada macam soalan tambahan sikit lah.
Okay,
Tadi
saya.
saya cakap yang kita praktis tu kena ada, tapi jangan macam terlampau banyak juga nak praktis. So, berapa masa selalu yang praktis yang diperlukan lah untuk benda tu just nice je untuk kita waktu kita nak bagi speech tu.
Okay,
Selalu
untuk masa praktis ni, sangatlah bergantung kepada individual tersebut. Some people just need one practice or 5 minutes of what he wants to say, and then he just can go doing well in the speech. Some people really needs hundreds hours of preparation before he or she can do a good presentation. But what I would like to focus on is not really the time that you use to prepare, but how you use the time. Some people really focus on what they want to talk about, and they really understand what he or she wants to talk about, and he practice on the points that they want to deliver. Again, back to the you told us about the niat, right? Niat kita sebenarnya, what we want to deliver to the audience, apa yang kita nak sampaikan sebenarnya, and make sure you achieve that. That's it. And in my opinion, it's up to you on the limitation of the time that you want to deliver the good presentation. Some people need 5 minutes, and some people need 1 hour, and some people need 5 hours for that. You need to know how many times of practice, how many minutes, how many hours that you need to deliver a good speech. And in order to know that, you have to experience the speech itself. You have to go out in front of the class and give a speech. Barulah kita tahu, contohnya semalam aku prepare 10 minit. Lepas tu esoknya nak presentation, I did it badly. So you know that you need more time for the preparation. And most of the students, when you prepare for the presentation, you don't really test your presentation. Betul tak? Usually students, dia prepare je lah presentation tu. Do you really go to your friends? Okay, you listen for my presentation and I would like you to comment.
I think Aliff got stuck. Yeah.
itulah. Dia macam rasanya saya rata keluar kan ni. Okey, tak apalah. Nanti kita akan berbalik-balik pada soalan yang tadi dan jawapan yang tadi juga. So, kita teruskan kepada Dr. Fred. Soalan ni saya ambil daripada Facebook. Okey, dia bertanyakan mengenai body language. Okey, soalan dia berkaitan dengan body language merupakan macam satu elemen penting yang seperti yang disebut oleh Sir Aliff tadi dalam soalan yang pertama berkaitan dengan body language. So, macam mana body language yang berkesan untuk menampakkan kita ni berkeyakinan dalam menyampaikan kita punya speech ni? Doktor, silakan.
Okay, alright. Okay, so I will cover a few aspects. When we talk about body language, it's your facial expressions, it's your body posture, right? How you stand, it's your gestures, how you move, right? Your hand gestures ke, like you move there, like how you pusing ke, you tengok sana, tengok sini ke. And then your eye movement, alright? Like are you certain in delivering a point? Are you looking at someone because you want to deliver something, or you're a bit unsure with a few things, right? And then so the touch and also the use of space around you, okay? So we start with facial expression, right? I find it interesting if you can actually distinguish between your facial expressions. Okay lah. So like to conclude in whole first, right? Before I go into detail, it usually comes with like first, when you are able to actually relax, okay? I would take a story from my PhD viva. The morning during the viva itself, I walked into the room and then the examiners, so they told me like, you need to actually go out, walk around the garden, all right, breathe in a lot breathe in loads of oxygen, because you need to calm down and relax. Because most of the time when you are nervous, all right, it will take out the joy of you trying to share all the signs that you have done. So you need to be as relaxed as possible. All right. Yeah, so that's first, all right, and it links, all right, with a few more things. When you are relaxed, okay, when your whole system is relaxed, you can calm down. It's when your hand gestures would come in place, because your brain would tell you like what you are feeling, right? What you are trying to say. Is it actually something really serious? All right, or is it something really sad? And you would respond accordingly to what you deliver, and you can achieve that when you are relaxed. Okay, so if let's say in my context today, like if let's say I'm stressed out and I'm really nervous, and if I let that get into me, all right, all you will get from this talk is just 1 hour, 2 hour of like seriousness, nervousness, and I'll be stammering the whole time. All right, so that is number one. So when we talk about facial expressions, yep, so I've explained it to you. Let's talk about body posture now. Like when you're giving speech or a talk, right? Where so there's a few ways of how you can do it. Like usually people stand, right? How you stand would tell a lot about you. If you slouch a little bit and you go down, perhaps you want to show a little bit of empathy, all right? Or you want the audience to focus. You know, like how people usually say, all right, okay, yeah, so there was one time of this, you know, you see a lot of speakers, like they would do this most of the time, all right? I think because they want to draw in attention of focus, all right? And they do, yeah, and at times they try to like connect, to become closer to the audience, and that's why they slouch a little bit. But when you're trying to be affirmative and assertive, it's when you would stand up straight, all right? And then it's trying to exude a little bit of confidence, because you want them to understand the point like clearly, because this is an important point, all right? So you move around with what God has given you, all right, so that your communication becomes more effective. Eye movement, I think I've actually covered this a lot earlier. Your eye movement could also be your expressions as well. Eye movement as in eye contact. So if let's say you're speaking in front of a group of audience, all right? I think when you start looking around, all right, when you're not looking at your audience, it shows that you do not acknowledge their presence over there, all right? So I learned this trick years back when I was training. So my teacher told me that, all right, okay, so if you're really nervous to look at your, you know, like the group of audience, because at times the group of audience can be people who are really serious, people who would sit there and just look at you with no expression. They'll be like, yeah, and that will actually contribute to you like overthinking inside your head. Yeah, so if you're in a room, all right, so my trick is to actually, when you start, you go around, you fish around, all right, and then you find for like 1 or 2 that will always smile at what you said, all right? So my ego for the last time, once I've reached that, and then I'll try to find people who like who would like not react or respond to me, all right? And then once you make eye contact, all right, you can sense that the person is already a little bit nervous, so they loosen up a little bit, all right? They feel they are part of your speech. So that's the power of making eye contact when you're talking to people. You acknowledge their presence in a room. So the trick that I learned from my teacher, if you're too nervous, you start by looking straight at the wall behind you, because everyone would just assume that you're looking at them. But if you keep on looking the whole time, then you're basically talking to a wall. So move your eyes around, all right? And when we talk about touch and the use of space, it's if you have a stage, all right? At times people, there are speakers who would just stand at a point, all right, and not move around. But because the speech is very powerful, all right, it compensates that, all right? And there are speakers who moves around, all right? It's not that their speech is not powerful, all right, but it's just a different approach, right, of how they engage with the audience. Yeah, so that's more or less it. I've covered basically everything. Yeah, there's one more point that I missed, and it's not part of this actually. If you see most of the TED Talk speeches, they usually have a slide or like a presentation or screen, yeah. And if you look at what they presented, right, it's not a long-winded text, all right. It's always something really simple. It's a simple figure. It's a simple text. It's a simple picture that could engage, all right, or it links to what they are telling, all right. And this link back to what Sir Nick Aliff has presented just now. Okay, if you memorize what you've got to say, okay, if you have a hiccup throughout your speech, and then you might stumble, all right, but use it effectively. Whatever that you put on the screen, all right, the text, the visuals, or the images, or the pictures, they are supposed to be the one that trigger or stimulate, all right, your so your next group of ideas, all right, what you want to talk about, all right. So they are supposed to like make you remember, like, oh yeah, so I wanted to talk about this, right? Yeah, so that's more or less it for me about body language. How do you use it effectively? I think one more, sorry, one more would be your voice. When I was in the training class, so the course instructor, he told me like, before you start your speech, all right, it's important that you do a vocal training, all right. And what is a vocal training? It's when you actually, all right, first you pronounce the word A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U, and then you speak with like a high pitch, a low pitch, and a medium pitch, right? It's vocal exercise. Or you can sing to just relax your muscle, right? And he taught me as well, alternatively, all right? It's just to tell your brain and all your muscles to relax. You can chew a gum, all right? Or you go and have a walk around the building. This is very crucial because your system need to warm up before you can start giving a speech, kan? Macam bawa kereta, sebelum bawa kereta, you can buka engine dulu, you can hangatkan engine kereta tu, and the engine will last longer. If you buka, terus jalan, it will not last that long. So yeah, so that's basically it. Back to you, Nurul Iffah. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, that's perfect. Tadi doktor ada sebut praktiskan vocal. Benda tu adalah baru untuk saya. So, insyaAllah nanti saya akan try guna cadangan doktor. So, doktor, saya nak tanya soalan yang macam, kalau betul ke kalau kita nervous dalam atas stage, kita kena pegang something? So, apa pandangan doktor untuk orang kata tips tu lah sebenarnya?
Pegang something, okay, yeah. So I think the speaker pernah share dengan saya one, like he has macam apa yang benda yang lembik-lembik tu yang kita beli picit tu, apa dia?
Rubber ball.
Yes, the rubber ball, yeah. So like he used it at times, alright, because when he does that, I think it relaxes his muscle, yeah. So but it depends on you. Okay, like my way of relaxing or if I'm feeling nervous is to actually have deep breathing. Deep breathing sebenarnya they help you tau. Alright, so dia hantar all those oxygen, dia biar your blood flow, right? Deep breathing, like really deep breathing, like you let it out. That's my approach to it, alright? Yeah, and then once you're more relaxed, bila you start, yeah, when the audience responds in a good way, you will feel a lot more relaxed lah. Like I'm sure Nick Ali would have a few other tips on it, like how to.
Yes. Okay ke suara saya? Iffah boleh dengar ke? Dengan ada masalah?
Boleh dengar. Cuma saya kena kuat sikit lah. Sebab macam
bergema eh? Okay, based on what Dr. Kepada has told us just now on ways we can do or not to be nervous when we present, my way is to hold the pen or something in my hand And I would imagine that I would transfer all my nervousness, all my anxiety, all my things that I'm afraid of when having the presentation. I would transfer it to this pen, and it will go away from the pen. And basically, that is what I do when I give a speech, and just like what I'm doing just now, right now. And I think that your nervousness, your anxiety, it's all in your mind. And you need to find out what you can do to let those things out from your mind. And my way is to imagine that those negative things flow through my hand to the pen and it goes away from the pen.
Alright.
And maybe you can apply that to your speeches or when you're nervous as well.
You know, like my trouble with holding a pen at times when I'm actually teaching in class, you know, at times I move around quite a lot, you know, with my hand gestures. At times when I hold it, you know, it ends up like
Fly
that.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah. One of the negative side of it, you may lose the pen and it would land on the head, unfortunately.
Okay, terima kasih atas tip daripada Sir. Kita pegang pen lah. InsyaAllah lepas ni bolehlah applykan benda tu juga dan applykan latihan vokal sebelum kita startkan kita punya speech. So, boleh kita what can we conclude daripada tajuk yang kita buat hari ni, iaitu berkaitan how to be a good TED talker. Doktor, boleh sedikit rumuskan?
oh, mula dengan saya.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
right. Okay, alright, okay. So the conclusion, alright, from I punya point of view, a good speaker, a good TED Talk speaker, is when you have a clear message on what you want to deliver. Keep it very simple, keep it really natural, do not over rehearse, and then don't be afraid to try, alright? You wouldn't know of your capabilities until you give it a shot, alright? And you work from there. Once you have tried it, and then you know dekat mana ada lompong-lompong, alright? And also, one more thing, you would realize a lot of things when you start giving a TED Talk. It's when your skills and you punya knowledge akan improve like tremendously. So when I was involved with a lot of things like speeches and so on, it helps dengan saya punya pelajaran juga. It helps me to remember things effectively. It helps me to like organize what I've learned. Yeah, so that's more or less it from me. And back to you, Iffah.
Alright, thank you Doctor for that conclusion. So, Sir ada tadi kita ada terputus sedikit kan tadi waktu sesi soal jawab tadi tu ada terputus sedikit. Sambung balik.
Okay. What we talked before is about time to prepare. Kan awak tanya ada berapa masa yang kita perlukan untuk prepare. Okay, ada student cakap saya perlukan sikit, ada student perlukan banyak and so on. Okay, when we talk about time to prepare, I would like to advise to the students that it based on you, individuals as individual. Kita tak ada, there's no guidelines for you to focus on. Okay, let's say that you need 1 hour to prepare to be a good speaker. Tak ada. There is no such thing. It depends on you as an individual, as a student, how good you are in using those time to prepare. Some people, dia prepare up to 5 hours. Tapi dalam masa 5 jam tu lah juga dia makan, dia mandi, dia minum sambil-sambil prepare. But some only need 30 minutes, for example. But using that 30 minutes to really rehearse of what they want to deliver. And again, when we talk about preparation, rehearsal, it's called a rehearsal. You need to understand rehearsal. When you rehearse, it's when you try to mock it. Korang ada presentation for 5 minutes. Do you really test yourself Am I be able to talk for 5 minutes about the topic that I have right now in my mind or on a piece of paper? Do you really do the rehearsal? Do you go to your friends? Okay, you will listen to me talking for 5 minutes as a rehearsal because we are having a presentation tomorrow for 5 minutes. I'm going to do my 5 minutes and then I'm going to listen to your presentation for 5 minutes. And then we are going to comment on each other, how to improve. Do you do that when you rehearse? I would like you to ask yourself that particular question. When you listen to your friend's presentation, do you really comment on their presentation? Do you notice there's something ways that they can improve and how to do that? Do you tell them that? Or at least if you don't have friends, that's sad of you. If you don't have friends, do you record yourself presenting for 5 minutes? And do you look back at the presentation and then you will realize how beautiful your English is and how can you improve? I'm sure that if you watch your own presentation on a video, you know there are things that you can improve. So that is what I would like you to do. When I talk about preparation and rehearsal, I would want you to really rehearse, to really prepare of what you want to talk about, the key points of what you want to talk about, the explanations that you want to include, the stories that you want to include. And when you rehearsal, korang kena buat rehearsal tu. You have to do it. Let's say that the presentation needs you to talk for 10 minutes. Do the rehearsal for 10 minutes and watch and ask your friends to watch you talk. Is there anything that I can improve? Rather than just go with it, follow the flow. And when we talk about the time preparation that you need, it's based on you. How well can you do it? And in order for you to know your time of preparation, you have to be in a lot of that particular situations. If you want to improve your time of preparation in public speaking, you have to do a lot of public speaking. So you do know that, okay, let's say that I have prepared for 1 hour and this is how I spend that one particular hour, and tomorrow I will have the presentation and it went well. So I know that my time of preparation is 1 hour and this is how I'm going to fill in that 1 hour. So that's it. That is how you need to know. You need to know the time preparation you need in you. How would you choose and how would you fill in that particular time that you have for preparation? There will be no guidance for you to look at for you to guide you on the time of preparation. You need to experience it again and again and again. Right, back to you, Iffah.
So, all right, thank you, sir, for the explanation. So, sir, what can you conclude to our topic today?
Okay, our topic is on how to be a good TED talker and how to deliver a good public speaking speech. And I would like to tell you, and all the information that I have taken here is coming from a TED talk called Learning a Language. Speak it like you are playing a video game. I love how she, who is a native speaker and have been staying for a long time in Malaysia, and he told us that we Malaysians treat English like a piano lesson. This is where we focus on the mistakes. We judge on the mistakes from the teacher, by the teacher and our peers, for example. This is my personal opinion, my personal experience. Maybe it's different from your personal experience. When I was in primary school and secondary school, my English teachers value me, how well I am, how good I am in English is by the mistakes that I make. My teachers would tell me that I am a better student compared to the rest of my friends is because I make less mistakes. It's not about the achievement that I've done, the goodness that I've given, the betterment that I have showed in the class. No, it's about the mistakes. I make less mistakes, and that is the key point to the teachers telling others that he is a good student because he makes less mistakes. And why should we focus on making less mistakes? Why shouldn't we focus on the information that we are trying to deliver? And I would like to quote Dr. Fritz just now when he talked about he got a second place in public speaking just because the first presenter did it more naturally and so on. That is one of the mistakes that we focus on the students. We do not really focus on what they can do, but we focus on what they have not done. For me, we should look at English as a video game. This is from the TED Talk, where she told the audience that we should focus on the objective of why we speak. For example, the focus, the reason, the objective we speak is to deliver information. Why don't we brush on that? Why don't we make students focus on the delivering the information rather than we focus on their mistakes, either in grammar or pronunciation or the deliveries itself? Why should we focus on the mistakes? We should focus on the objective, the focus. Just like when you play video games, you don't care about the mistakes you make. You want to get the objective. If the objective is to kill the bad guys, and that is what you want to do, and you are having fun doing that. But when we talk about English classes, our thoughts on English is something scary because we will make mistakes, because we will be judged by the peers, by the students, by our friends, by the teachers on the mistakes that we will make in the class. And I have a student who is not really good in English, but really try his best to speak in English. And when we are having the class, he raised his hand up and say, "Sir, toilet." And everyone in the class laughed because he did not really use a good sentence and so on. But I praised the student because he actually used English, even if it's two words, but the information delivered to me that he wants to go to the toilet. And again, I would like to focus on the confidence. If you have the confidence to speak the language, go with it, do it, practice it. And this is English. This is not a math class where you can memorize the formula and you're good to go. This is English. It's a language. It's a tool to communicate, to deliver information. It's not an art to be mastered. It's not something that it's so difficult to do. And again, this is not from me. This is not from me. The sentences that I'm quoting here is from the TED Talk. She told the audience that we should treat English as a tool to communicate, to deliver information, and not an art to be mastered. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. So, actually, we should learn from our mistake because when you make a mistake, there are only three things that you should ever do about it, which is admit it, learn from it, and don't repeat it. It's a quote from Paul Bryant, an American football player lah. So actually, a mistake should be your teacher, actually, not your attacker. A mistake is a lesson, not a loss. So kasih kepada Sir Aliff dan Dr. Fer kerana sudi berkongsikan pendapat dan juga pengalaman untuk bengkel kita pada hari ini. Terima kasih kepada semua yang sanggup duduk selama 1 jam 24 minit bersama kita semua di Facebook Live dan juga YouTube. Okay, terima kasih sekali lagi kepada semua. Bye dan Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. And thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for having us.